Hey guys, so I got an email the other day asking for me to react to a video about why Devil May Cry 5 is the most overrated game ever and why it actually sucks. And I thought I would do this video a little bit differently instead of make like a whole edited video. Since this video is over an hour, the video I'm reacting to, I would kind of just watch it, like Asmongold style. Just watch the whole thing and then just kind of give my thoughts as I'm watching it and pause it and talk about it without really that much editing and cuts. As usual, when I react to videos like this, I'm not going to be saying the title or the person that made the video because I don't want a whole like flood of people to go to this person's channel and then just give them a whole bunch of like negative feedback. And I've had that happen before and I don't really want it to happen again. But if you do come across this video like in the wild out on YouTube, please like don't be mean to this person. I just wanted to use this as an opportunity to just talk about some things that I like about Devil May Cry 5 and kind of just like so disprove some things about this video that were just factually wrong. So yeah, enjoy the video. Let me know if you guys want to see more videos like this where it's not really edited, it's just me talking and just like watching the video. The most overrated action game of all time. I feel like that's kind of a stretch, dude. Dude, you know what was overrated? Dude, you know what's overrated? The Last of Us Part 2, I think, is the most overrated game I've ever seen. I don't know how that won Game of the Year. I didn't enjoy that game at all. All right, well let's Asmongold this. Here we go.
5. The best way to summarize this game, it's probably the most overrated action game of all time. Now calm
I don't know. I that's kind of a stretch. That's kind of a stretch.
down. Before you go disliking the video
I
and
did Total Drama Action, dude. Oh, I remember that show.
leaving me hate comments, at
Golden
least hear
picture.
me out and let me elaborate, okay? Devil May Cry 5 is still a decent game at the end of the day, and still does actually have a
Oh, dude, he has Sweet Surrender in the low. What a goat! What a goat! I just noticed that.
really good combat system, well, for the most part. But that's the thing, literally everything outside of the actual combat is literal pig vomit. From the atrocious level design of walking down generic hallway number 500.
Okay, I've heard that. I'll explain it later when he like actually brings up in his section for that. So there's like timestamps here. Yeah, I'll bring it up. Yeah, I've heard that a lot. Like it's just like a super linear game. You just walk down hallways. That's not the case.
145 to generic static flat combat arena number 369 to the muted and washed out colors and being forced to play.
I will admit, dude, when you're inside of the Clifoff, the game is like really dark, like in color. I can kind of see how somebody would think it's like super bland. That's facts. Like when you're inside of the Clifoff, all the other areas, I don't think that's the case at all. Like when you're in like mission 2 at night, and then like during the sunrise, dude, that's beautiful as far as like the lighting and like the colors and everything. Dude, yeah, even when you're in the sewers, everything's like looks like all muddy and washed out. Yeah, I just when you're inside of the Clifoff, or even in all of Mission 3, when you're on the rooftops, you go into the sewers, and then you're in the library and everything. Yeah, that's beautiful. I think that only really applies to like inside of the Clifoff. I'll give them that. That shit, that's not very. It's very bland looking.
Has dog shit characters like V, which is literally, and I'm not even joking, nor is this an exaggeration, where you literally just spam both the square and triangle button at the same time, rotating the analog stick either up and down or in a circle to always achieve a triple S rank. Honestly,
Yeah, V is pretty bad. I feel like with V, my understanding of him now, I played him for like on that freaking charity stream. I played him for like literally like 6 hours straight, so I kind of got like a better understanding of him. It's a character where you have to try to make yourself have fun. Like if you're just going into playing V and you're just like, oh whatever, you're not gonna have fun. Like I had a bit. I would be lying if I said I didn't have any fun at all playing V during that whole marathon. But he's a character where it's like you have to actually like participate and be like active and like try to use all of his different moves. He's definitely the worst character here, but you know, there's still fun to be had on him. You just have to like seek out having fun with V. You know, V isn't all bad, but he's definitely the worst character here.
the more I play Devil May Cry 5, the more I realize and the more it further pushes my belief that it's
I like how he edits like me, because I don't know how to edit for shit. I just put like the still image of Virgil up. He does that same thing, but with the girl from Total Drama Action. He edits like me.
just DMC4, but worse in nearly every aspect.
That's
Especially
crazy.
since I
That's a crazy take.
just went back and replayed all the DMC games back to back, starting with 1 and including the reboot all the way up to 5. I can safely say 5 is the most overrated, and again, just a downgrade of 4, again, and nearly
Saying 5 is a downgrade of 4 is absolutely insane. I can't wait to hear why.
every aspect.
It's
I'd
insane.
honestly put 3, 4, and even 1 above 5.
You put
Maybe
1?
putting 1 above 5 is a hot take, I don't know, but
Yeah, Yeah.
DMC 1 is genuinely a better game. Like, I have very little
DMC 1 is a great game. I don't know if it's better than 5, but
complaints about that game overall. I'll obviously get more into this and also comparisons further into the video. So again, calm down, little Timmy, before you dislike my video.
my favorite YouTuber said so.
Because we both know your ass's first DMC game was 5, and that seems to be the reoccurring theme with 5 Glazers, is that if it's your first DMC game you have played, you unironically believe it's better than the rest, despite literally never playing any of the other games. It's the same thing with the Monster Hunter World, or even for the non-
Yeah, this all came out around the same time. World and Resident Evil 2 and DMC 5 came out around the same time. So I feel like that's when a lot of people, like Monster Hunter World was super popular. All of those games were super popular. So I feel like 5 brought so many new people into the series because people who played. Also, what is this on my screen? What the hell? So people who played those other games are like, oh, what's the other stuff Capcom dropped? They dropped like 3 games within like a year. Right, so I feel like that's one reason there's a lot of new people playing 5. Also, the anime, I feel like 5 is the most appealing looking to a new person getting into the series because the graphics are the best. Right, I feel like that's the reason. So it's like, my first game was DMC 1. I think I told you guys the whole story about it. But if I was like, if I had seen, 5 wasn't out yet. If 5 was out, I probably would have played DMC 5 DMC 5 first. So, but that's why I think a lot of people try DMC 5 first, is because of the anime and because it came out around the time when like some other really popular Capcom games were coming out, so people were like, oh, what's some other Capcom games that they're making, and they tried DMC 5.
Existent and extinct Monster Hunter Wilds Glazers. You know, Capcom makes new game that appeals heavily to the West and the modern audience. Well, that's the best game in the series now, obviously. And the older games,
I mean, the reboot tried to appeal heavily to the West, and that's considered to be like not very good by the average person who's into Devil May Cry.
quote unquote outdated.
The whole point of the reboot was to appeal to the West.
Dude, which is just a term that is thrown around for any older game at this point and has lost all of its fucking meaning and definition, okay? Let's be honest.
Real talk.
So once you boot up this game, you're greeted with a login bonus, because we obviously need a login bonus for a single player fucking game. Which, let's just be real, okay?
That's funny, but it's like, if you just don't use the gold orbs. Like, if you don't want to use them, then just don't use them.
Let's just be honest, it's quite stupid. But that's not even the worst part of it, okay? The worst part is that they removed all items in this game. Yeah, you guys remember Vital Stars? Which
He's not there. He's talking about like the fucking holy waters and shit.
Stars that would refill your devil trigger, or how about holy water, which would nuke all the enemies on the screen?
Holy water was lame as hell. I'm sorry, I don't know if that's a controversial take. Holy water was lame as hell.
Did and gone, despite literally being in every single DMC game prior. Despite how,
you know, okay, whoa, that's a stutter. This is why I usually don't like just record like this, and I edit myself up so I don't stutter as much. But what I was trying to say there, before I stumbled over my own sentences, was the way I take it is that the reason they removed the items is because popping up a menu during combat just kind of really breaks the flow of it. Like, if you like, just say you're playing Devil May Cry, you're beating up all these enemies, doing all this cool stuff. You open up a menu, ding, 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 go through a menu and select your freaking Vital Star or Holy Water. It just really breaks up the flow. I like how in Devil May Cry 5 they removed that, but even though they did, there's still other ways for you to gain health. I talked about this in the last video, where I was responding to that article. There's still other ways for you to gain health. Like you can like there's a lot of characters that drop those green orbs that heal you. And if you die anyway, you can pop that gold orb. You have Devil Trigger that heals you. You know, there's more ways to like heal yourself that I feel like I didn't really miss the fact that there was no items in this game, because like I do like the decision of removing it, because I feel like just opening up a menu to heal yourself halfway through a fight just really breaks up the flow of it.
how badly I talk about the shitty reboot, at least that game still had Vital Stars and Devil Stars at the end of the day. Now, some of you are probably thinking, well, that's a good thing then, so now you actually have to learn the game and can't just cheese each boss with like 30 Vital Stars and 10 Holy Waters saved up. Wrong. Completely fucking wrong. Because now instead of having to open up...
he's gonna say you can just never die because you could just spend like your hundreds of thousands of red orbs reviving yourself. Well, then this is the thing, right? I feel like this game has a lot of things in place to like help newer players. Like it literally has like an auto mode. It has like all these revives. You can just choose not to use those. Just like how you can choose your difficulty. Part of choosing your difficulty is just, you know, choosing how you're going to play the game in general. You can choose that like, okay, I'm not going to revive myself. Or you can choose that like, okay, I'm going to like. There's literally super costumes in the game. There's like you can really like decide which way you're gonna play and which way you're gonna experience the game. And I don't think it's that big of a deal. Just like how you can decide not to use the super costumes and not to use auto mode, you can decide I'm not gonna revive myself. You know, it's just something that's there for the newer players.
A menu and select the healing item, which was actually strategic since if you were low on HP and so was the boss, you had to make the decision, okay, should I, waste the healing item so I can guarantee beat this boss, or try to beat the boss without healing with the possibility of dying and having to start the entire fight all over again? Well, that decision making is completely removed in DMC 5 in place for, I'm not even joking.
Yeah, I feel like this isn't the way I see it is like opening up a menu breaks the flow of the combat. If you die, you can decide, do I want to revive myself or do I just want to play it straight and not revive myself? I never really liked the whole menuing thing. I feel like this isn't really the game for that. I'm kind of glad that they removed it, honestly. And holy water is fucking stupid. Holy water is fucking stupid. I'm sorry. I don't know if that's like controversial. I said earlier. I fucking hate holy water. It's stupid. I don't use that.
Infinite lives, infinite continues. You die.
Yeah, you can just choose not to use it. It's for the newer players, just like the super costume, just like auto mode. Just how you choose not to use those two things. You can just choose not to revive yourself.
It's the gold orb, which you probably have at least a dozen, probably maybe even triple fucking digits at this point of them, and just replenish your health completely and your devil trigger. There's no real consequence to using 20 continues on a single boss or mission other than, wow, bro, I got a D rank. Wow, who the fuck cares? There's no sense of failing or losing since, again, you basically get infinite gold orbs, and even if you run out, which is pretty much impossible since they give you so many, but yeah, if you run out of gold orbs somehow, you can just use red orbs to buy even more extra lives. You can even...
Yeah, so bad players, like, don't, like, get discouraged from playing the game and, like, keep playing it and get better and get good. That's all it is. Just, like I said, you can just choose not to use it. Just how you don't choose to use super costumes or... choose auto mode or any of that other shit.
Buy the red orbs for real money. Gotta love.
Also, yeah, this is ridiculous. I agree with him on this. This is ridiculous. Like microtransactions in a single player game. I made a video a while ago about how this is the biggest ripoff. They're charging $2 for 100,000 red orbs. If you just go into a level, spam Dr. Faust moves, then you can get 100,000 red orbs in literally what, like 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. It's a ripoff.
Capcom, am I right? Literally pay to fucking win. But yeah, this wasn't a problem or issue in the previous games, since you were limited to a total of 3 gold orbs, not fucking infinite. But yeah, enough complaining about the shitty continue system. Let's hit the new game button. And wow, would you look at that? It's Morrison from the Devil May Cry.
He's gonna be mad. He's upset that he's black. I feel like I just know what he's gonna say.
Anime. No, not that shitty Netflix one, but the old one. Wait. But what's this? Oh my god.
Yeah, oh my god, not this again.
Like, he seems to have
Who cares?
Increase in melon.
Who cares?
I don't know. Which I'm sure I'm already pissing, somebody off out there for bringing this up and mentioning it. But why did they race swap him? Because DMC has no black characters? Is that why? So
Gloria.
Capcom, in their infinite wisdom of appealing
Yeah, oh my god, what are we talking about?
to the West, and the woke dipshits race swapped a white fucking character. I guess Trish doing blackface in Devil May Cry 4 wasn't good enough for them. But yeah, for any retards...
Why does it matter? Like, why does it matter? Like, who cares? Like, why does it matter? They just wanted to... Maybe they just... like... it doesn't matter. It doesn't really affect you at all. They were just like, oh, well, maybe we should add a black character because there's I don't know. I don't fucking care.
I think I'm just being a nitpicky little bitch right now. I'm not, because around this time, and in case anybody has forgotten, was when Capcom started appealing much harder to the West, with games like Monster Hunter World releasing the previous year, and in January 2019
I don't think it was because they were trying to appeal to the West intentionally. When Capcom's trying to appeal to the West, you get games like the Reboot. I think those games were like just good, so a lot of people played them, especially Monster Hunter World. Dude, I know I started playing Monster Hunter World with like 3 Ultimate as a kid on like the Wii U. There's a lot of people that played Monster Hunter World, and I feel like has a lot to do with like the graphics of the game. I feel like graphics draw in a lot of new players, and I feel like it's just because the game is good. I don't think it has anything to do with them like appealing to the West. Like I said, like when they're trying to appeal to the West, you get shit like the Reboot.
Released Resident Evil.
That's what appealing to the West looks like.
Which is where they heavily toned down Claire, made her much more of a girl boss, and giving her a more vulgar and sailor mouth.
I remember this game. I don't even think I beat it, dude. I never did the Claire thing. I just did the Leon one.
What an awful, terrible, horrible thing to say.
And when did Devil May Cry 5 release again? Oh yeah, that's right. Just a few fucking months later.
Yeah, the same year.
Coincidence? Obviously not. We don't believe in coincidences, okay? But I'm sure I'll get people in the comments calling me a racist for noticing the patterns.
What is this?
But
What
yeah,
is that? What the fuck?
moving on, we are then introduced to our 3 protagonists of this game and 3 playable characters, that being Dante, who has been pushed to the sidelines since 4 in favor of our new protagonist Nero, and also Ronnie Radke from Fallen in Reverse, aka V. So we started the game as Nero, much like in Devil May Cry 4, but this time he's missing his arms since some hooded figure from Organization
Virgil.
13 grabbed
It's
Nero's
funny.
devil arm and tossed his ass across the room, which I don't know, I feel like this is just kind of stupid, you know. I'll just be honest. Like, Nero has defeated all those demons and
Oh my God.
all of that, you know, demon ass, and he just gets his arm grabbed so easily. He gets his buster arm taken because he was caught off guard. Like,
It's get taken because it was caught off guard. He got it taken because it's fucking Virgil. Like, it's because it's fucking Virgil himself. Like, Virgil is insanely powerful. Virgil could probably still, like, at least from my opinion, probably beat Nero here if he did fight him, even though he was this weakened after being out of his Nello Angelo arc.
give me a break. I'm not buying it. This is just dog shit writing right here, which I
I don't think it's dog shit writing. It's established in DMC4. Nero absorbs the Yamato into his demon arm. Virgil comes and tracks down his Yamato. Maybe he has some type of ability where he can kind of sense where it is. He finds this dude, and it's like, oh, it's like in his arm. Rips the arm off and takes his fucking sword back and portals out. I think that's fucking sick. And it's not that he was caught off guard. It's that this was fucking Virgil.
won't go like super in detail with the story since I don't really care too much about it, nor do I really like it that much if I'm going to be honest. Also, you'll notice Nero mentions Kyrie from DMC4, which he'll actually call and talk to her a few times throughout the game.
Hey, you two! Dinner's ready!
Be right there.
Dude, is the goat. Bro, I loved in this cutscene how he calls Kyrie, even though the phone booth is like fucking obliterated. Somehow the phone in it still works. Like, it's so stupid.
Nero? Is that you, Nero? Did something happen?
Kyrie.
However, you never actually get to see her. I guess Capcom was too lazy to model Kyrie into DMC.
No, it's just because Kyrie doesn't even really matter to the story. You know, like, the story doesn't have anything to do with her. Like, in 4, she was like a part of the, like a major part of the plot, but like in 5, she doesn't really matter at all. So like, what's the point?
5. But maybe that's more so a blessing in disguise with how ugly and how horribly they butchered Trish and Lady, especially.
What? What? Oh my God! Come on, man. I feel like she looks the best in 5. She looks the best in 5. You guys can just crucify me in the comments. They did not butcher Lady. Trish, maybe, and Lady, absolutely not. It was, everyone was better than the last. 4 is better. She looked better in 4 than in 3. She looked better than 5 than in 4. All right, take it or leave it. That's my take.
From their DMC4 designs, which again ties back into the Morrison race swapping from earlier, and this was the beginning of the end with Capcom and their uglification of women. Like, it clearly hasn't taken full effect just yet, but you can see the slow changes
Uglification of women shows Nico and Lady.
that were taking place between the games, all the way coming up to the modern year of 2025. Like, they could have so easily shown Kyrie at the end of the game, but they didn't. Like, you
Because she doesn't have anything with the story and doesn't really like matter in this game.
compare the ending credits sequence of like 4 and 5, and it's night and day. In 4, Nero has to save his, you know, woman Kyrie and has to protect her from taking
this was
damage
sick.
from the demons. And in 5, the ending credits is you on a generic street, which you've literally been on for a third of the game fighting demons. Wow, how
That's
so
crazy.
interesting, how amazing. Like, they could have integrated Kyrie into the story to have Nero have to fight for something and just have that on the line. But
Well, they already did that in 4, so you wanted just to do the same thing over again?
yeah, no Kyrie alone is enough to make this an inferior version to 4. Let's just be real, okay? Let's
What? Oh, that's the craziest thing I ever heard.
keep it a buck 33. Kyrie is a top tier waifu and is the
I feel like he just likes Kyrie and is just upset that she's not in the game. Is it crazy to say that?
ideal woman. Let's just be real.
You know, everything's Latina parfait.
Synthetic Man, fuel blast from the past, blast from the past. Yo, crazy dude. I haven't thought about this dude in like 3 years. Oh my God, unbelievable. Oh my God, this guy still exists. Unbelievable.
He says is based and correct.
But anyway, since you get your Devil Breaker
That's crazy. That's just, oh my God, the memories.
taken in 5, I'm not even joking, you don't get it back till the very last mission. Same with your Devil Trigger. You know that feature that has been in literally every DMC game since the beginning and that you would unlock relatively early on? Like in 4, for example, I think you unlock it in...
No, you get to use a pseudo Devil Trigger mode on V, and you get Devil Trigger, Ensign Devil Trigger on Dante and Virgil. so I don't know what he's talking about.
6 or
Like
7.
he's saying for Nero specifically, yeah, you get it at the end of the game.
Meanwhile, DMC5, no devil trigger for you. Beat the game.
That's a lie. You play as other characters. You play as V, who has a pseudo devil trigger mode, and Dante. Obviously, I think you play the most. I think you play most of the game as Dante. Am I wrong? I thought you play at least a pretty large chunk of the game with Dante, and he has devil trigger from the very beginning. So I don't know what he's talking about.
You have to beat the game for that fucking basic feature that has been in every game prior. Like,
That's a lie. That's a complete lie. That's wrong.
This shit is tied to the story, but it just makes playing as Nero on your first playthrough that much worse, since he's already a toned down Dante, as Nero doesn't get stuck.
I don't think he's a toned down Dante. He's a completely different character. You could say like, oh yeah, he doesn't get devil trigger until the end, blah blah. But he's been like way more developed than he was in Devil May Cry 4. He has all of his devil breakers and stuff. He has like a whole bunch of new moves as well. There's the whole exceed system. There's a lot more things to worry about. And I think it also ties into the thing of not wanting to like overwhelm new like players. But yeah, he's definitely not a dumbed down Dante. He's a completely different character, just like Virgil's a completely different character.
Styles or style switching, nor does he get any weapons other than.
So I think he doesn't understand the point of Nero. So the point of Nero, and the reason you start 4 and 5 with him, at least from what I understand, is Nero is supposed to be a more easier to pilot character for people just getting into the game or just to get you warmed up with. Since DMC4, Dante, like with the style switching feature, has become such a complicated character that if you were just to give him to players at the very beginning of the game, they most likely would just like get so overwhelmed and lose interest in it. I think in DMC5, he has what, like, wait, he has what's like nine weapons. I don't know. I'm so tired. He has like 9 weapons that the moves of them switch in from 4 styles. So he has 4 stances changing 9 weapons. I think it's 9 or 10 weapons or something like that, right? And it's like if you just start, even if you just slowly drip feed the character more and more weapons and more abilities and styles, like, dude, just remember try to remember the first time you played Dante in DMC4 and DMC5. You probably didn't even understand how the character worked at all. You probably didn't even switch styles from Swordmaster or Gunslinger, right? And if you just would drop that character Dante, one of the most complex characters in gaming, right? He literally has 9 weapons that the moves of them are switched by 4 stand. Like he has like over 100 moves, right? If you were to just drop that on a new player, they would just lose interest or be overwhelmed. So the point of Nero is just to give an alternative to Dante, who's simpler but still fun, right? As kind of something to start the game with, which I think is a good decision. I think if they make another Devil May Cry game, a Devil May Cry 6, I was talking about that being like a co-op game or having the option to play co-op. They could have you start the game as Virgil and then like switch to Dante or something like that. But I made a whole video about like what my pitch for DMC6 is. You can go check that out. Yeah, little shameless plug, I guess. I don't know. I'm corny.
And his Red Queen and Blue Rose revolver, which you'd think in the sequel they would expand upon that, but nope.
What? Yeah, dude, there's a lot of new moves for Red Queen. What?
I mean, they added some extra moves, obviously, but at the
I wish they would have added stuff. They added stuff, but I mean, you're like, what?
end of the day, you're still limited to only 1 sword and 1 gun. Now,
What do you mean? You're not limited to 1 sword and 1 gun. There's like 10 devil breakers. What? Yeah.
in place of being able to use your Devil Buster to grab enemies, which was significantly nerfed, by the way, everything from animations to damage output, such as, for example, most of the new grabs are just very lazy and just suplexes, where in DMC4,
He's not showing the cool ones. He's not showing the ones where there's the giant mantis enemy and you like stab the sword into his head and go like and crank it up. He's not showing the one where you're in Devil Trigger where you like take the what's his name? Not the was it Proto Angelo? It was Proto Angelo. You take the Proto Angelo and do like the fucking RKO. Like he's not showing the cooler ones. He's not showing the one against the Fury where you like parry him and like punch him and all this crazy stuff. And he's not showing the ones against Virgil. There's a lot of really cool boss arms. I don't know what he's talking about. Or did he show the Proto Angelo one? I don't know. I'm so exhausted. Let me see. I'm so exhausted right now. I
enemies, which was
apologize.
significantly nerfed.
Probably should be waiting to record this. It's nearly 2 a.m. right now. Jeez.
By the way, everything from animations
No, he didn't.
to
Yeah.
damage output, such as, for example,
Shows
most
the
of
lamest
new
ones.
grabs are just very lazy and just suplexes, where in DMC4 each of Nero's grabs were actually unique and really fucking cool. Like
Yeah,
the
he's
knights
just
would
not showing the unique and cool ones. There's a lot of unique and cool grabs. I think there's a lot more than in 4 as well.
use their own lance to thrust it into them, and like you'd send their body flying, or the fire doggos that you could literally shoot out a fireball from, the flying sword
was
enemies
cool.
that you toss at other enemies, and even
That was the stupidest boss fight in the world, by the way. That room where you throw the swords to the class.
Blades or assaults where you'd spin them in a circle, damaging and knocking back everything around you.
Yeah, what is he talking about? That exact grab is in the other game. I think it's on those. I don't know what they're called. They're called like riots, or was it a riot? The enemy where they roll around, the roly-poly enemies. You can do that exact grab to them. I don't know what he's talking about.
Meanwhile, in 5, there's
No, there you go. No. I was thinking of something else, but you do that same grab against these as well.
zero impact for the grabs, and grabbing the lizard enemies in 5 basically has the knockback of a fucking pool noodle. On top of
I don't
all of
think
this,
so.
Nero's Devil Trigger depletes while you're mid-grab, whereas in DMC4, your Devil Trigger would actually stop until the animation is complete, as to not waste your DT. But in
Well, that's because you can just do grab after grab after grab and then make your Devil Trigger last forever. That'd be stupid.
anyways, in place of removing your Devil Bringer for literally 99% of the fucking game, you get Devil Breakers, which are various different consumable arms that you can acquire throughout the missions that you buy from the Space Toucan, disgusting tattoo-infested, annoying, obnoxious country.
Oh, he doesn't like Nico? What?
Accent Nico, which also smokes all the time. 'Cause
Dude, Nico's awesome. Watch, he's like one of the coolest characters in the series.
apparently women who smoke are now attractive. I don't know. But yeah, Nico
What do you mean are now attracted? Did they show that? Like, dude, this is what I was saying before. This dude just like is a Kyrie simp and just hates all the other women in the game or something. But it's not even. Her smoking isn't even portrayed as attractive in the game. Nero is grossed out by it. I think there's like 1 or 2 times where she smokes and he's like disgusted by it. It's not portrayed as attractive at all.
or Nicotine is the worst DMC girl by a country mile. The
That's a lie.
fact that Nico replaces Kyrie should be a
She doesn't replace Kyrie.
Or
Kyrie is in the game still. Oh, what you mean replaces Kyrie in screen time? It's because Kyrie doesn't really matter to the story. It's not a replacement.
crime on humanity. Like this alone, like I said before, makes DMC 5 objectively worse than 4. But anyways, the Devil Breakers are, like I said, consumable arms that replace your hand or your Devil Bringer, and they each have different abilities or gimmicks. For example, Overture does this big electric explosion, which actually does a shit ton of damage. Gerbera, which is one of my favorites, is basically Nero's
Probably the best
trickster,
one.
which I'll get more into later when I go over Dante. It
Yeah, it's
allows
probably the best one.
Nero to essentially get an extra jump or send an enemy upwards. It's quite good and quite versatile. I prefer Gerbera GP01 though, which allows you
Lets you to go
do a
up and
downward
down.
thrust to
Yeah.
get back to the ground
The
quicker
GPO one I'd say is like the best one in the game, I think.
when you're airborne.
Well, I don't know. I don't know like that. I barely play Nero.
Or to, like, you know, send an airborne enemy to the ground instantly. Punchline, which sends out a rocket that you can ride. Helter Skelter, which has a pierce effect.
Like, how's that not cool? You can ride around on like a skateboard and do tricks and shit.
Good for enemies with shields. Tomboy, one of my personal favorites, that allows Nero to basically give his sword infinite exceed and makes it so your sword is always on fire. It actually changes up your melee combos and even allows you to shoot fire from it. I wish more of the Devil Breakers actually switched up Nero's swordplay like this, as again, he is limited to only one weapon. Buster Arm, which is basically his Devil Bringer arm from DMC.
Remember, it's supposed to be a simpler character than Dante, so that's why he only has a single weapon.
It actually does more damage than your Devil Bringer once you unlock it. Rawhide, which is a whip and good for crowd control, and Ragtime, which is a throwback to the Bangle of Time from DMC1, which allows you to slow down time. There's also DLC Devil Breakers, which were included in the deluxe edition, meaning cut content from the full release that the greedy fucks at Capcom charged you for, despite it
Oh,
being
here we go. Oh my
the
god.
game at fucking release, which of course they would cut content and sell it to you for day one DLC. It's Capcom at the end of the day. What did you fucking expect? They love money. They're money hungry. They're literally Mr. Krabs, and they also love
Dude, if this guy thinks Capcom is money hungry, wait till he sees fucking Ubisoft, or like, wait till he sees fucking Ubisoft, or like, just any, or fucking EA. This guy thinks Capcom is hungry. Oh my god, you haven't even seen fucking, dude. Oh my god.
scamming their consumers and player base. But yeah, the Mega Buster, which is Mega Man's arm and allows you to shoot Mega Man bullets. Sweet Surrender, which is a reference to Kyrie, which is the only Devil Breaker, by the way. It actually restores your health. You can either get a passive healing from it, which is pretty fucking slow, or instantly break it and restore 3 health chunks, which is pretty scummy when you really think about it, since they removed items and Nero has no real way of healing for the entire game, since you don't get Devil Trigger till the literal final
Dude, and literally every combat encounter drops green orbs for you to heal with.
mission, which if you don't know, yeah, Devil Trigger gives you a passive healing effect, and you don't get vital stars since, you know, they obviously removed them, like I said. So if you want to heal, for example, other than, you know, having to rely on enemies dropping green orbs, which is the only way you'd be able to get your health back, you need this specific Devil Breaker,
Oh my god.
which was cut out of the game and sold to you for day one deal.
Dude, I swear to god, if you play the game, this isn't actually a problem. Enemies drop green orbs so frequently. frequently. You're being healed so free. Like, this is not really a problem if you actually are playing the game and like playing the game the way it's intended, dodging attacks, things like that. This is not as big as a problem as he's making it out to be at all. Sweet Surrender isn't even meant to be used. It's a gag meme weapon. It's a gag like meme Devil Breaker. You're not actually supposed to use it seriously for regaining health. That's why the health regain is so slow, and that's why it only gives you 3 bars back. It's not like an actual heal, you know.
Which again is extremely scummy, and more people need
it's a meme. It's not meant to be used seriously. It's not, you know what I mean? If I make any sense, this is why I usually edit myself when I speak.
call out Crapcom out on their bullshit. Pasta Breaker and Monkey Business, and then there's also Gerbera GP01, which is a slightly different Gerbera, and that's all the DLC Devil Breakers. So surely Nero having so many different Devil Breakers to choose from makes up for, you know, his lack of one single weapon and one single gun.
It does.
Wrong. As I said before, these Devil Breakers are all consumables, and you can't actually pick which one you want to equip. Instead, how it works is you can hold up to 8 of these Devil Breakers, and each time you pick up...
The way the game is balanced, it would be pretty broken if you could switch through all the Gerberas. I've done it. The game becomes pretty broken. There are mods if you're on PC you can use, like Cyans, to be able to swap through them all freely. But you gotta remember, like I said, the point of Nero is to be like a more simple character. It's basically for 2 reasons. For one, or actually I would say it's even for 3. For one, it would be broken if you could just switch to all these Devil Breakers and have all these attacks like in your arsenal at once. For 2, that would overcomplicate the character and just take away from the point of Nero and why you're just not playing, and why you're not just playing as Dante for the whole story. And 3, I guess it kind of encourages some type of decision making before like you load up the mission of like what, you know, Devil Breakers you want to bring along. The Devil Breakers are not very expensive unless you're like at the very, very beginning of the game. Buying them and using them usually isn't an issue at all, like he's making it out to be.
A new one, it adds it on top of your current or equipped Devil Breaker. So I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, okay, so how do I swap between my different Devil Breakers?
You break it. You devil break it.
Like, what if I need Helter Skelter to take out a Sin Scissor? Or what if I need my Bust Storm to grab the boss? Well, too bad. You need to break...
Also, what makes this a little bit better is that sometimes before certain combat encounters, you can find a Devil Breaker that would help you with it. For example, if you're about to fight a whole bunch of shield guys or Scudo Angelos, I can't remember what mission that was. But there's a section, for example, there's a section where you fight a whole bunch of Scudo Angelos. They leave like a Helter Skelter right below it, right below the combat encounter. So if you're like paying attention, you can go grab that and then use that to help break through the shields. But it's like sometimes they will leave Devil Breakers like before certain combat areas where you'd want to use it. So that makes it a little bit better.
Your currently equipped Devil Breaker to access your next one. And if the next one you have in line isn't the one you need to break that one as well. Which when you break these Devil Breakers, they are gone and removed entirely from your inventory, which is obviously quite...
So just bring more than one.
Retarded. Nero is obviously meant to be more beginner friendly compared to Dante, but even still, not being able to switch to any breaker you want is just stupid and really does limit his overall potential and gameplay.
It would be broken. And if you bring more than one of the breaker you want.
Like, obviously it's meant to be strategic since you're supposed to equip
which is exactly what I said.
them in order you think you'll need them, but that doesn't really matter whether it's intended to be strategic or not, since it's just a bad mechanic at the end of the day. What's also really annoying about Nero is after every single mission you're going to need to re-equip and or buy more Devil Breakers from Nico, and each time you...
This takes like... oh, come on. It takes like literally 5 to 10... It takes literally like 30 to 60 seconds between... It's really not that big of a deal.
Do this, you have to manually equip...
What you can also do is you can also make your own loadouts. I don't know if he's going to mention that, but you can make... For one, this takes 30 seconds, and for 2, you can make your own predetermined loadout that you can just go ahead and just equip if you have the Devil Breakers for it. It'll just just snap it into your magazine for you. Well, I don't know if he knows that or is going to mention it or he's ignoring it.
Breaker one by one, which becomes...
Yeah, you don't have to do this. You can make a loadout.
Quite tedious, obviously. This could have been completely fine if they just added a simple loadout system, which allows...
There is, what?
You to equip a loadout with the press of a single button. Nero's
there is.
Mechanic is revving up his sword through using his Exceed, which is basically just means you press L2 right at the end of each attack to build up Exceed, and depending on how much you have, whether it's 1 level, 2 levels, or max Exceed, you'll do a different or varying amount of fire damage. Since this mechanic builds up fire onto your sword, you can also rev up manually by pressing L2 outside of combat or just moving around or just spamming the L2 button. This mechanic has been much simplified compared to DMC4. In that game, you
Yeah, it's a lot more precise in DMC4.
need next to perfect timing to rev up your
It's I
sword.
think it's like a single frame in for Max Act, like frame perfect. I could be wrong though.
Now in DMC5, it's much more lenient and forgiving with its timings, which I don't really know if that was necessary since Nero is already quite easy to play. So dumbing down his only mechanic, which separates, players with and without skill, probably wasn't the smartest idea. But that obviously was intended, as DMC5 is much more casual in its difficulty and also just playing the characters. Dante also being much more easy to play compared to DMC4 Dante, which you basically needed to get a PhD in demon hunting to be good with him in DMC4. Now,
Well, I would argue what do I think about that? Is Dante in DMC4 harder than DMC5? I would say yeah, but I would say yeah. I would say yeah. Dante in DMC4 is a bit harder. Like, I'm not an expert in this fucking game. I'm not a crazy style player. But you gotta remember, like, one of the reasons that Dante was so difficult in DMC4 is that the enemies literally just weren't even designed for him. They were designed for Nero. You literally played through the same stages as Dante that Nero played, just in reverse, because they ran out of time and budget for DMC4. So you gotta remember, part of his difficulty just comes from the fact that you're fighting enemies that weren't even designed for Dante at all. Also, Dante DMC4 is way more difficult when you get into like jump canceling and shit like that. With the enemies have hitboxes and stuff, and the gravity is a lot less forgiving. But he's not more difficult for like the reasons that he's listing here.
DMC5 is still a bit difficult, but far less
I don't see him doing any like crazy jump canceling or anything, or
to play compared to 5. But yeah, Nero is fun to play. I like Nero for the most part. I mean, aside from his new dog shit design, like,
I don't like Nero. I agree. I don't like Nero's new design.
I really hate what they did
I agree.
to Nero with his haircut and
I
this
agree.
more realistic looking face.
I
Which for
agree.
me personally, probably more so also factually, because obviously everything I say is based and correct. Obviously.
Oh, everything Latina Parfait he says is based and correct.
I'm getting sick of the RE engine. Like, it just can't do faces, and I'm just so sick of
Yes, it can, dude. What are we talking about?
everything I say
RE
is
engine looks
based and
beautiful.
correct. Obviously.
Everything Latina Parfait he says
I'm
is
trying to
based
find
and
the
correct.
spot.
I'm getting
Dude, what, dude? What are we talking about? RE engine can't do faces. Look at this.
sick of the RE engine. Like, it just can't do
Dude, what's wrong? I don't get what's wrong with this.
faces, and I'm just so sick of so many modern games going for more realism because normies love
It's like stylized realism.
that shit. I miss the edge Kino graphics and anime art style of DMC 1, 3, and even 4. Like, it just fits
I
Devil
love how he doesn't say 2 because 2 is bad.
May Cry so much better and just looks overall so much cooler.
I like the
It's
way
just
5
one of
looks.
the bigger problems of Devil May Cry 5 is just the lack of color in any and all of the environments.
This is a lie. I talked about this earlier. It's only when you're inside of the Clyfoth sections the colors look really samey. But outside of that, there's some really beautiful and colorful environments.
Everything is just boring to look at. Even Nero's jacket barely looks blue. Same with Dante's. He's supposed to be wearing a red coat or jacket. Yeah, this shit is the furthest color from red. Then on top of that, obviously, Dante looks like a fucking hobo in this game. But anyway, it's like, why do normies love this shit devoid of color? Is it because they themselves are devoid
It's like 4 levels out of like 20, bro.
of color and any
It's, if I had to guess, it's like 4 to 6 levels out of 20.
personality? Yeah, probably. That's why they love this soulless slop. It's like flies being attracted to shit. Normies are attracted to this dog shit.
Yeah, that's such a gross word, normies. I hate that. It's like, don't people know don't people want normies to play their game because it makes the game more popular and like gives the studio more funding to make more games? Like, isn't, I don't know, maybe that's a weird take, but like, don't you want a lot of people to play your game and for your game to be popular and liked?
Realism instead of actual cool art styles, which is what DMC had before. The previous DMC games had actual style. And with games like Onimusha in development and also using the same dogshit realistic art style,
It's like more semi-realistic. Realistic would be something like God of War Ragnarok or something. I would say this is semi-realistic. There still is a hint of like anime there. I'm talking about DMC5, not Onimusha.
Doubt we're going to ever head back to games with unique and interesting art styles. This shit is going to stay for as long as normies keep consuming the slop. And that being said, hopefully the new Onimusha game won't be dog shit, but to be honest, I don't have high hopes and have my expectations incredibly low, as you should also. But anyways, the game opens up inside this demon tree
Like, this game clearly has an art style.
thing called a Clyfoth or some shit, and it's basically where half the game takes place, and it's quite visually boring, as you can see, which is basically this entire game. No
I wouldn't say it's visually boring. It's just very samey colors.
interesting or cool set pieces, just boring locations. But anyways, you fight some bugs and battle your way up to Cherry
Yeah, I don't think this is a boring location at all. I think it's just the colors are boring.
Urizen and see Dante getting his ass kicked because obviously he needs to be made to look like some pushover compared to Urizen, which have fun fighting this dogshit boss multiple times. Basically, this is a static boss in an
Like, I don't think this is a dull. Look where we are. There's like a giant throne of like fucking skulls with this giant guy sitting on it. And he's just like so disinterested in fighting you. He just has like his fucking fist up on his cheek, leaning on his fist. You have all these tentacles and all this stuff like extending to the background, and I don't know. Then there's like this is the big like tube of like, what are we talking about? This looks nice. It's just a lot of the samey colors, which I can see how somebody wouldn't really like that much. I don't even like it that much, but it's not a boring location. This is very visually interesting.
In order to damage him, you need to hit this stupid crystal thing until it shatters, which it has a shit ton of health, and then after that, you can finally damage Urizen. It's about as fun as it sounds. You just dodge lasers trying to kill it, and that's pretty much the entire boss
Dude, you should play DMC too.
fight, which having to do this once is already bad enough, but doing it like 3 times is just kind of pathetic. Like, you're not supposed to kill him the first time during the prologue mission, and if somehow you do defeat him, which pretty much is impossible if this is your first playthrough of the game and you've never played the game before, as you only get 6 health and no devil trigger or devil break your arms, you'll probably most likely not be able to beat this shit. But yeah, you get your ass beat and we get a flashback to like a month ago, which this game does a lot of flashbacks, which is
A month
kind of
later.
annoying. So now you're in the mystery.
It's not a
map.
flashback. It's not a flashback. It's a flash forward. The month after.
The new DMC girl, that being Nico, which I've already brought up, and after that you get a little opening cinematic or some like music video
Like, this game looks beautiful.
where the theme song of the game plays Devil Trigger.
Is he really gonna complain about this opening cutscene? This is absolutely incredible. The slow motion of not Dante, of Nero shooting the demons and flipping around the van. There's no way, right? There's no way he's gonna actually complain about this. There's no way. Where she like grabs her cigarette in her mouth. See if we see it.
Which I'm just going to say this right now. Devil Trigger is an okay song, but it does not
That's insane.
fit DMC at all. I don't
That's crazy. Yes, it does.
give a shit if it fits into the story of the game or not. It just doesn't fit the tone of Devil May Cry. It's like if they were to add a Taylor Swift song or some shitty Imagine Dragons
Did
song.
he
Like,
just
that shit
did he just compare Devil Trigger to Imagine Dragons? What?
just doesn't fit. Listen to Devils Never Cry, Cerberus theme, Shall Never Surrender, Lock and Loaded, or any.
Does this not have the same? Let me think. Does Devil Trigger have the same tone as Devil Never Cry? No, it's a bit more upbeat, but I think it shares a similar tone. It's just a bit more upbeat. Maybe that's what he's talking about. I wonder what he thinks of I wonder what he thinks of Subhuman or Bury the Light.
Song in the series, and you'll see the drastic difference between those songs and the new pop song, you know, Devil Trigger. The fact that this is the most popular DMC song and not Devil's Never
Bury the Light is far more, yeah, way more popular.
Cry should tell you just how brain dead and tasteless the new modern
Oh my
DMC
God.
audience and community is. And it only reinforces my belief that these mouth-drooling fucking retards only played 5 and shill for this game and calling it the best DMC game despite, again, never playing any previous game. And if they did or do play the older games like 1 or 3, they're usually like, bro, but dude, I can't combo somebody in the air for like 5 minutes straight like in 5, so therefore it's a bad game, dude. It's a bad game. I can't combo for 5 hours straight. And that makes me want to talk about this whole stupid fucking idea of more complexity or more combos equals better game. It doesn't matter how complex the game is or how many flashy over-the-top combos a game has if everything else falls short or if the other core aspects of the game are shit. Yes, the older games obviously don't have anywhere near the
Isn't that the point of Devil May Cry though? Defeating enemies stylishly and like trying to like defeat enemies in the coolest way.
amount of
Isn't that the core of the game?
autistic aerial combos.
Like, yeah, there's some other like surround. That's the core. of the gameplay. There's a group of enemies. You have these tools. Defeat the enemies in the most stylish, coolest looking way, right? Like, obviously, I'm talking about just the gameplay. Like, obviously, there's like a story, there's characters, there's the tone, there's the setting, and but just the gameplay. Isn't that the core of the gameplay?
Most of 5, but that doesn't mean they are worse, nor does it make them bad. Style switching every 0.2 seconds isn't what makes a DMC game good. There's way more factors involved, such as the level design.
Yeah, maybe he's just, maybe. I mean, I haven't seen him do that this whole video. Like, can he even do that?
The actual style and the mood of the game, the music, all that being what, you know, DMC5 lacks, and also being shit. DMC1,
I guess that just comes down to opinion, but I just disagree.
despite being the least combo heavy, is still a great game at the end of the day. You're
It's a
quite
good game.
limited in the combos you can do, but you're still able to chain together different attacks or cancel attacks into other attacks. At the end of the day, it gets the job done, and there is more to the game than just the combat. Look at a game like Dark Souls or Elden Ring, for example. Those games have very limited combat.
It's like, I don't think people play I don't think people play Devil May Cry for like the story and or the lore though. They play it to combo on enemies and defeat enemies really stylishly. I don't think they play it for like the world building and the tone and the story. I mean, that stuff is there and it's good, but I don't think that's the reason people are playing the game.
Combo systems.
Like a lot of people just don't really give a shit about, like, that's not really what you're here for. Like, yeah, like it's good, and the game has good lore, has good characters, good world building, right? Has, you know, good tone or whatever other shit, but people don't really give a fuck about, like, the point is the gameplay, and the core of the gameplay is defeating enemies as stylishly and as cool as possible with the tools you have.
pressing the same button over and over. Those games don't have delayed attacks or aerial combos, but would adding that shit make Dark Souls or Elden Ring better?
Well, that's a completely different game, and it's trying to do a completely different thing.
Games? Probably not. Because
Well, no, it wouldn't, because those games are trying to do a completely different thing.
what they make up in lack of combos, they make up for in terms of enemy variety and other aspects, such as the level
Devil May Cry has always had enemy variety. What?
design or interconnectivity of like the worlds, such as in Dark Souls 1. If Dark Souls 4 or Elden Ring 2 came out,
I don't think you can compare these two games. These two games are trying to do completely different things.
and they added a shit ton of combos, but they scrapped the good level design and cut out half the enemy types. Would it be better? Obviously not. And that's essentially DMC5. They scrapped everything outside of the combat. It's the same thing with DMC1. Each enemy has its own weaknesses and strengths. Not to mention, it makes those games far more strategic in how you go.
And he's showing like the worst fight in the whole game. This is like, I'm not saying this takes away from his point, but he's like, I've just remembered this fight. This is like the worst fucking fight in the whole game.
About dealing with each of the enemy types. Also, this isn't just some skill issue or some other dumbass zoomer term brain rot. I'm not great with DMC5 Dante, I'll be honest. I have gotten better though with
Not
him,
really.
obviously, and was able to hit floor 96 of Bloody Palace. But me not
Not bad.
artistically, you know, stringing together combos by style switching every half a second doesn't make me bad, nor does it make it a skill issue. Just because I don't play the game the same way as some autistic fucking retard on the internet.
Oh my god, he's so salty. Oh my god.
How some dipshit fans arbitrarily determine how you cannot play the game. Just because
Yeah, nobody should tell somebody else how they should play the game. I agree with that part.
I don't play the way they want me to doesn't make me bad, nor does it invalidate any of my criticisms with the game.
Yeah.
Such as my problem with the different enemy types, bosses, and just overall combat. Which I'll get more into the different enemy types in a while and all my gripes with them. But yeah, my point being is less combos or less autistic aerial attacks doesn't make a game fucking worse. But anyways, the first stage is okay. It's extremely short and it introduces you to the devil
So we're going through all the stages now.
and Overture. It's basically just a straight line. If you're expecting the level design to ever actually progress from this or evolve from this,
It
don't
does. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? What are we talking about? There's a lot. There's a whole bunch of like non-linear stages in DMC5. There's the whole stages Dante, where you there's like the blood fountain. There's a lot of like, there's all these like side branching paths you can go down and secret missions and stuff. It's not all just a straight line like the first level.
your expectations too high, because it really doesn't get any better than this or really any more complex than
Yes,
this.
it does. It doesn't get any more complex than. Come on. Yes, it does. It's a straight line.
This is obviously fine for a first stage, just teaching you the basics and mechanics, but we already had a stage just like this prior, that being the prologue stage, but I can't entirely complain about it since DMC3 does a similar thing where the first 3 stages are all incredibly short, the first 2 being just single rooms where you just need to defeat waves of enemies, but honestly it works fine in that game as it basically teaches you if you can't beat a room full of enemies, you aren't going to make it far in this game, because DMC3, unlike DMC5, is actually quite difficult. Like, I'm not even joking. Normal on DMC3 is probably harder than...
In DMC5, you kind of decide your own difficulty. You can just use this, like I said earlier, you can just use the super costumes or revive yourself infinitely. It's a game where you decide the difficulty for yourself. You can make it hard, you can make it easy. Depends on like what you're looking for.
Sons of Sparta for DMC5, which Sons of Sparta, if you don't know, is basically just hard mode. Like, DMC3's unironically Get Good Scrub. DMC5 is unironically DMC2, where every enemy has 5 bars of fucking health, which was a problem with that game, but not 5 for some reason. Like, seriously, everybody complains about DMC2 having bullet sponge enemies, but all of a sudden, fine when DMC5 does it, just because, dude, you know, I can style switch on the demons for 5 minutes straight.
Why does he hate comboing so much?
That fun, dude, hitting a stupid bug queen all day doing next to 0 damage? Because
why does he hate styling styling on the enemies and comboing so much? I'm trying to think of, I don't know why exactly. I guess he sees it as just people just like autistically just mashing their controllers. Like, that stuff takes a lot of coordination, you know. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. And like I said, the enemies have as much health as you want them to. If you want, you can just play on human where the enemies die really quickly, or you can play on like Dante Must Die, where, you know, you actually have time where, you know, you can, you know, beat up the enemies. The enemies go Devil Trigger. You can combo the enemies for a while instead of them just dying like they were on like human or Devil Hunter. The enemies have as much health as you want them to have.
look at my screen, there's a triple S at the top of it. So obviously it's a good game. Obviously, bro, this game's so fucking good.
I don't know what he's getting at here. I don't know why he hates comboing so much. And he's saying, like, just because I combo doesn't mean I'm bad at the game. You know, people combo. And they're like, whoa. Well, I don't get what's wrong with that exactly. That's what the top level gameplay in this game looks like. It's the, you know, it's the coolest, most stylish way. And a lot of times, most efficient way to deal with the enemies.
It's not a bad game with dog shit bullet sponge enemies. It's a good
The enemies have as much health as you want them to have.
game. Like, the mental gymnastics DMC5 players and fanboys will go through to cope that this is the greatest action game or the best DMC game is fucking insane. But anyways, you eventually get to the Glyphoth Fruits for the first boss, and it's an introductory boss, I guess. I don't know, there's nothing really interesting about it, and it's just incredibly fucking boring, which a large portion of the bosses in this game
Well, it's the first boss you fight, the first real boss. You know, it just teaches you, you know, how to dodge, essentially, with the tentacles.
just dog shit or boring. Like, again, going back to DMC3, the second mission, which if we count the prologue mission, this is the second mission of DMC5. You fight the Hell Vanguard, which are the Grim Reaper-like enemies of DMC3, much like how DMC1 had the Sin Scissor enemies, and this is the first boss you encounter. These do go on to be mini-bosses in later levels, but the point being is just look at the difference between these two bosses. Like, even comparing this to Cherry Urzen, it's night and day. Design-wise, it's a Grim Reaper that is like a black cloak and it's wielding a large scythe. So if we're keeping tallies, DMC3...
Yeah, I mean, they just wanted to have a simple boss here for new players. That's all it is. I will agree that it's less interesting, but the reason why is they just wanted to have a simple boss for, you know, people just getting started. This level is literally 60 seconds long. It barely is even a level. And going into Mission 2, we have one of the best bosses in the game, I think, the Goliath.
winning so far. And we can take this a step further with the fodder enemies. DMC3 with the 7 hells, most being scythe-like Grim Reaper enemies. Meanwhile, what does DMC5 have again? What do we get? Literal bugs. Eat the bugs, goy. Consume your goy slop. Enjoy bon appetit.
What are we talking about? We have Death Scissors, we have Riots, we have Furies, we have the Scudo and Proto Angelos. We have a lot of fucking cool enemies. We have the giant mantis enemies. There's a lot of cool stuff.
Now, to be fair, DMC5...
And then, yeah, and we do have the scythe enemies as well, so what is he talking about?
5 also does have the Hellkina, I think, or whatever the
Hellkina.
fuck they're called, which are similar in design, but ultimately a huge downgrade design-wise. They just have so much more personality, both visually and through the cutscenes in DMC 3 versus 5. So after defeating the Hentai boss, we get the cutscene where Nero is in his garage and gets his
Hentai
Devil
boss.
Buster taken, which I already went over this, so I'm not going to be doing it again. So the second mission, you'll be going through generic streets and the generic-looking hotel, which I thought this hotel might have been the overall castle or mansion of this game, which I think is a
That's
huge
crazy to think. That's crazy.
opportunity, as pretty much none of the levels are connected in Devil May Cry 5, unlike in all of the
Dude, in Devil May Cry 4, a lot of people complain in that game about like not knowing where the fuck to go. Like I guarantee you, like if you were playing that game for the first time, it took you a while to realize where the fuck you're supposed to go. And then it's like sometimes you're just like, dude, I just want to fight some enemies. You know, I feel like Devil May Cry isn't really the game for having like puzzles and stuff. I feel like it's like I said, it's a game for, or it's not a game for like backtracking and having a bunch of puzzles and like taking all the spinning tops. Like that stuff is fine, but I feel like it just takes away from the core of what the game is. It's styling on enemies. You know, just give you know that's why you're playing a game, the Devil May Cry game. You're playing the game to fight the enemies and style on them. You know, as cool as possible and do cool combos and shit. That's the game.
previous games.
So all they did was just lean more into that in Devil May Cry 5.
Where you'd have a large castle that you'd slowly explore, find key items, and or do puzzles to slowly unlock more and more of the map. Instead
Yeah,
of
all they did was just lean more into what the core of DMC is, which is, you know, the combos and the stylish gameplay.
full unique set pieces like gothic castles or towers, we instead get generic streets, hallways, and demon trees. How fun, dude! Truly, this is the peak of DMC, and clearly this is so much better than DMC 1, 3, and 4. Like, you'd have to be an
You have to
idiot
shoot it with Griffin.
to think gothic
You have to
castles
shoot
and
it.
towers are
There
cooler
you go.
than walking through generic fucking streets. Wait a minute. I just thought of something, okay? You guys want to know what else this game has in comparison with DMC 2? The generic street levels. Which, remember, everybody had a problem with the dogshit generic levels in that game. But it's obviously okay.
The reason, okay, oh my god. So the reason people had a problem with the levels is because the levels are usually just to break, like not the levels, but those walking touches are to just break up the fights. The fights in DMC 2 were shit. So it's like, it's just shit, and then you take a break from shit for more shit. You know, that's all. That's why people didn't like that.
For DMC 5 to do
Here,
it.
the fighting is incredible. It's the best. It's the best it is. It's been in the series, in my opinion. So it's different. It's a lot different than DMC 2.
Because you can style on a bug queen for
Well, it still has half its HP after 5 minutes.
5 minutes straight.
Well, what is he? Wait, let's see. Well, what is he doing to the boss? What is he do? Not the boss. What is he doing to the enemy exactly?
Because you can style
No
on
exceed.
a bug queen for 5 minutes straight. Fun. How
No
fun,
exceed. He's not using his. He's not using his double breakers.
dude. But yeah, this
Oh,
won't
they
be the
used
end
it.
of the comparisons between DMC 5 and the other games, as later on in the
Yeah. Well, what do you fucking expect? It's on Dante Must Die. What do you fucking expect? Then play on an easier difficulty. You know that you don't have to play. You don't have to do this to yourself if you don't want the enemies to have a lot of health. Then you can lower the difficulty, right? The point of Dante Must Die is that it's more difficult and the enemies are more spongy. The reason they're more spongy is so you can combo them in the air longer. They don't die as quickly as on the easier difficulties, right? It's to up the challenge as well. So if you don't like that, you purposely chose this mode. You just play on Devil Hunter if you want the enemies to die faster. You're doing this to yourself. Just, it's like he's choosing to play the game in a way that he doesn't like. The same way as in he's just like, oh, you can just revive yourself or whatever forever. It's like, dude, just like how you're choosing to not use the fucking super costumes and not choosing to use goddamn auto mode, you can choose not to revive yourself. The game is as difficult as you want it to be. It's very customizable, and I like that a lot about the game.
mission, you'll meet these cleavers.
It means like my fucking girlfriend can play the game on human, on auto mode, and think the game is cool. She's like, oh, I get why you like this game. This game's cool, right? And then I can hop on right after her. I can get the controller, turn on Dante Must Die, and then do like a fucking air combo as Dante for like 30 seconds. 60 seconds, right? So it's like, that's all it is. It's customizable, and I like that about the game. He's choosing to play the game in a way that he doesn't like.
Demons called Hell Antinora, which are taken straight from the dogshit DMC reboot, which, remember, everybody thinks is shit and dislikes it, but these cleaver enemies are just the chainsaw enemies from the reboot. They work exactly.
Oh my god. So the point of these enemies is that you can't just mindlessly attack them. You have to also dodge around. That's the point. That's what they're supposed to teach you. That's the same thing it's supposed to teach you in Devil May Cry the reboot. I don't think anyone hated the reboot because of this enemy.
the fucking same. So again, why the fuck does DMC5 get all of these passes? With
I
this
don't think because I don't think that this enemy was the reason that people hated the reboot. That's why.
bullet sponge enemies, horrible level design, much akin to DMC2 with its
There's so many spots in this game that aren't like this that he's not showing. He's purposely showing just the street levels. Like I said earlier, there's the level where you have to do all the different like the big blood fountain as Dante. There's the level that's very vertical when you play as Dante. I think it's mission 19. That's a very vertical level. You're going up higher and higher on the Clyfoth tree. There's another level where you're going deeper and deeper down to the Clyfoth roots. That's the one where you can play as V, Dante, or Nero, where you're in the Clyfoth going down. That one's vertical, but you're going downwards. There's a lot of levels that he's not showing, and he's choosing to show just the levels that have linear streets like this to prove his point. It's a little disingenuous.
generic streets and enemies taken straight from a shit game. I guess again because you can style on Z-Bugs for 5 minutes, am I right?
Yeah, you don't have to. That's not the point. It's like I explained it already.
But I really do need to keep bringing this shit up just to hammer in the point of how retarded the DMC5 fanboys are. So as you're exploring the hotel, you'll come across these Nedhog hatchlings, which you need to put into the tree roots or whatever
pressed
to
the wrong
destroy
button.
them. They are basically just keys, and these roots blocking your paths are the doors. It is pretty fucking pathetic though. This is the only key item in the entire game. It's probably also equally as pathetic that the first time you
Again, they removed all the other fluff and just focused on the core aspect of the game, which is the combat.
these key items, it's literally not even 3 feet from where you fucking use it.
It's to, oh my god, it's to show you that that's what it's for instead of just having some type of text box pop up. They just show you. Show, not tell, you know?
I guess the modern audience truly is that retarded.
Oh my, yeah, he's just not understanding the point. It's to show you. This isn't a genuine puzzle here. It's to show you without, like, telling you straight to your face and insulting your intelligence that that key goes into this lock.
Crapcom just has that little faith in their player base. You'll also come across your first secret mission, which how they work in this game is you need to line up the camera standing in a specific location to line up the pentagram circle thingy perfectly. These secret missions are a staple of the series and have been in every game since the original. This first secret mission is the same as DMC4's first secret mission, and same with DMC3's first secret mission, where you just need to kill all the enemies within the time limit. Completing these gives you blue orb fragments, which if you collect 4, you get an increase of your health. Some of these secret missions are actually a throwback to the original.
Whoa, why is this
like
one so low quality?
one where you need to strike the Sin Scissors in her weak point and kill her in a single hit. Exactly the same as DMC1's secret mission, but just significantly easier, as in DMC1 you had to have great timing, positioning, and you did the shit underwater where your health was
Well, the
constant.
reason it was easier for him is because he used Cavalier, where a weapon that's not in DMC1. Used Cavalier, which is just a weapon that just ticks constant damage. So it's like, and each one of those is a hit. If you were using a gun, it would need that precision. If you were using a firearm like I was using in DMC1.
Constantly draining. So they kept secret missions, but they scrapped
Or like if he was playing as Nero, for example.
combat adjudicators for whatever reason, which were the statues in DMC3 and also 4, where you need to build
I agree with him on this. They should have kept that.
up your style ranking to the amount of lit flames with the
Yeah, I
specific
liked these in DMC4. They should have kept these.
weapon or color of the statue. These would give you a blue orb if it was destroyed. In 5, they are gone, nowhere to be found, despite
Yeah,
4
I like
also,
these.
you
They
know,
should
like
be
I
in
said,
5.
having them. Like, I just don't understand why you'd scrap this, as it would teach the player how to combo and style with different weapons. You'd even need to be quite stylish to get triple S ranks with some of the weapons on some of these statues. But yeah, that's the motto of 5. Scrap everything iconic and unique about your game and make it as bland and boring as possible to appeal to the fucking normie audience. Because you
Man,
have
well, what's
realistic graphics.
again? What's wrong with normies? How does that like affect you really? Unless like
Now, so
don't you want a lot of people to play your game and for your game to be popular and well liked?
obviously all the
If a normie likes your game, then it means it's probably pretty good. For the most part,
fucking
I don't know how true that is actually, but you know what I'm trying to say.
normies are gonna eat this slop up. And would you look at that, DMC5 is the best-selling DMC game. Wow, to nobody's surprise. So you eventually get to the boss Goliath, and do my eyes deceive me? An actually cool set piece with the
There's a whole bunch of these. There's a million of these. Yeah.
sun setting low in the sky in the churches. Wow, too bad there isn't many more cool set pieces
There is.
like this one. Honestly, I can't really think of any others. This is probably the highlight of the game.
There is. Where the whole section where you're on top of the Clyfoth, all the scenery in the back. The whole of level 3 going across all the rooftops. The library on the way here. There's a lot. I could name some more if I wasn't like fucking like exhausted, but
game, and this boss is actually really good and well designed. But yeah, don't expect much more of this since the rest of Nero's bosses, aside from the one you fight on mission 15, are dog shit. Yeah, I'm not even joking. Nero only gets 3 good boss fights throughout the entire game. This
does he?
being
Let me
one of
think.
them,
I
which
did
don't
the
even know
boss
if you
tier
can
list a while ago. Trying to remember which one were Nero's and which ones were Dante's.
call Nero's final boss Virgil a good boss fight, as that's literally just taken straight out of DMC3, because the hacks at Capcom can't do anything else but reuse Virgil over and over. And you know,
He
also
wasn't in 4, he wasn't in 4, he wasn't in 4, he wasn't in 4.
for nostalgia bait. And this other final boss on mission 15 is more of a Monster Hunter boss taken straight out of Monster Hunter World than it is an actual DMC boss.
What so how is Behemoth not then? What makes it a boss from a big boss from Monster Hunter World? Its size or the fact that it walks on all fours? I guess. What makes the Behemoth and the and Artemis not? What or what makes fucking Cerebus not? Or Cerberus or whatever, however the fuck you pronounce it, not a Monster Hunter World boss? Then what?
It's still one of the
The Devil May Cry has had a lot of bosses ever since Devil May Cry 1 with the fucking lava spider or whatever it's called, where you fight like animal like large enemies.
better bosses in the game though, but it doesn't feel like a DMC boss at all. But
What?
yeah,
You literally
Goliath
fight
is
a giant spider in the what?
a cool boss. I like him a lot. He's not super hard, but he's challenging enough to where if you don't learn his moves or try to evade his attacks, you're going to die. He has a decent amount of moves, all being very well telegraphed and easy to read, such as his Hulk smash move, shooting out fireballs out of his stomach, and also sucking you up
Yeah, this
through
was a
his
great
stomach
boss.
to shoot you out. You can use your Devil Trigger, which you obviously won't have at this point on your first playthrough, to break out of this, or really any grab in the game, or
You break one of your Devil Breakers, I'm pretty sure, to get out of it.
you can break out of it by breaking one of your
Yeah,
Devil
yeah.
Breaker arms to get out of his stomach instantly. I do think this move specifically is kind of bullshit, as your instinct would be to try and go behind him when he does his attack, but for whatever reason there is an invisible wall behind him, which I do think is probably the only bad thing about this boss fight and the only thing that's poorly designed. But other than that, everything else with the boss is fine, and I do like
It kind of makes sense. Why would Behemoth is, or not Behemoth, Goliath isn't like stupid. Why would he let you get behind him? I guess it makes sense, but I can see how that can seem a little unfair.
probably is Nero's best boss. Mission 3, you start on some rooftop.
No, it's not. It's Virgil. What? What? No, it's Virgil.
And learn how to use wirebound to snatch to like floating circle things that you
This isn't nice scenery.
to activate them. It's
Not
about
this
how it
shot, but I
works
mean like the whole setting in general.
in DMC4, just much more heavily dumbed down, much easier
It's
to
a flooded city where you're going across the rooftops. The streets are like all the way down there. Isn't that kind of crazy to think about? Is the
do
roof?
with
It's
no
the roofs.
levels actually utilizing this more than just to get up somewhere or to cross.
I like this
huge
area a
gap.
lot.
Whereas in 4, you'd actually need to use it to do actual platforming, and you needed good timing or your ass would get hit by the ceiling spikes and need to start over. There's one secret mission though where you need to wirebound across the entire level without touching the ground, but it's basically just spam wirebound, and it's about as easy as that. But anyways, the rest of the mission is taking place in the sewers, which are usually always boring in pretty much any game that you play. They are always boring and generic. There are some exceptions, obviously, such as Silent Hill, but that's more so a subway system than sewers. But you get the point. Sewers are boring, and a large part of this game takes place either in sewers or subways or generic streets.
Not a
And again,
large part. Maybe like 15 to 20%.
in the Clyfoth plant thing. So
And you don't stay in there for the whole level. It's small parts of a larger level you go underground.
you eventually get to these routes, which are about as deep and complex as levels get, where you need to destroy the weak point or burst these red parts of the roots to open up the doors. So it's just a different variation of gather bug and put it in the root. There's literally no difference other than you need to attack the root instead. You eventually get to this room with a throwback to DMC1 with Sin scissors coming out of the painting, but despite them bringing these enemies back, they lost all of the charm from the original. You remember that laugh that they would do in the original, that creepy
They still
high-pitched
do it.
laugh?
They still do it, and it sounds like identical, I think. I think there's like different. That's not. So there's multiple laughs. I think it occurs when they spawn a new pair of scissors. It sounds just like the other one. I could be wrong. But that's not the laugh. It's when they spawn the new pair of scissors, I'm pretty sure. There's like multiple different noises they can make besides that one laugh. So there's multiple noises they
that's
can
gone.
make.
So even the
No, it's not gone. It's
enemies they bring back, they ruin. You can still
Oh my
damage these
God.
guys and kill them instantly though, like in their original, but this time they do have a lot more health and they're much more bullet spongy. You can only really do damage to them after breaking both pieces of their scissors, and then their weak point will be exposed. They are annoying as fuck to fight, unlike in DMC1 where they're quite easy to take out and don't have much health. You then get some optional platform
skill issue? Bullet spongy and too hard to beat? Skill issue?
by hopping onto the chandeliers for some optional red orbs, which is blasphemy, you know? How dare Capcom put, you know, platforming in my DMC game, despite the series always having platforming
This shit was annoying as fuck. I'm sorry. I hated this when I had to do it.
since the original game. How fucking dare they? I just want to
Platforming with a fixed camera was terrible. I hated that shit. It's better here because you can move the camera around, but I will never like platforming with a fixed camera.
on bug queens for 5 minutes straight and nothing else, because that's obviously what determines whether a game is good or
Yeah,
not.
he just hates comboing and just misinterprets it.
Obviously. You then get to the boss, and this is just a boring dog shit boss. It's a floating
No, it's
boss,
not.
and you need to use Nero's wire snatch, which you learned how to do earlier in the mission.
Yeah, so it builds off of like what something it already taught you earlier in the mission,
To
which I think is pretty cool.
the boss and keep up with her as she zips across the room. She just shoots lasers at you and you need to constantly go back and forth. It's just a boring boss fight, both in terms of fighting and in terms of design. Nothing is unique or interesting or cool about
Nothing is unique or interesting about it. Shoots a giant fucking laser beam and explodes the room.
this boss. Is just dull and uninteresting. So after killing Artemis, you find Lady inside of her, which is the girl from DMC3,
Lady!
the best DMC game. And if anybody, you know, says otherwise, they are objectively and obviously fucking wrong. But anyway, she is naked
Lady!
and covered in some leche blanco. She doesn't really have much of a part in the story, and only really had a part in the story of 3. They only keep bringing back Lady and Trish for fan service. Hopefully if they ever do make a DMC6, they tell Nico to drive her mystery van off a cliff, and we get the return of the perfect waifu
Oh, this is so cringy, dude. This is so cringy.
Yay. Or just focus on Dante and scrap Nero entirely. I'm fine with that as well. Although I would probably be sad to see Kyrie gone. But she's already
Yo, this guy's friends play the weirdest games. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to this.
gone, so, you know, what can
V-Roid Studio? I saw like some weird ass game earlier.
you do? So the next mission, which is 4, you play as V, the best character in the entire franchise.
Shut your bitch ass the fuck up!
When I say that, what I really mean is the most absolute dog shit, most
I already
boring-
kind of explained what I thought about V. He's a character you have to actually engage with and try to use all of his different moves and try to have fun with. He's clearly like the worst character here, so you can't have fun with him. You just have to like actually like participate, you know.
play and Carpal Tunnel Simulator V. Horrible character. I hate everything about him, from design wise with all the retarded tattoos on his body, the personality of him being a rejected member of My Chemical Romance, or the goth kids from South Park, and obviously his gameplay, which is like I said in the opening, just spam up and down or a circle with the
You're
analog
choosing to do that. You don't have to do that. You can use all the other moves.
stick and spam both square and triangle at the same time, maybe mixing it
You don't have to do that.
in a hold every now
You're
and
choosing to play that way.
then. It's just the most brain-dead gameplay.
You're
of
choosing
all
to play
time.
that way.
How he works though is he has 3 summons, that being Griffin, Shadow, and Nightmare. All enemies from DMC1, which is just more nostalgia bait, which is what this game loves to do, just making callbacks or throwing in shit from past games. Which, you know, doing this doesn't make the new game any better, obviously. 2 out of his 3 summons though were bosses from the original game, which is surprising since I don't know why they chose Shadow over Phantom, the literal spider boss from DMC1. I guess it's because the modern audience can't handle spooters, because, you know, they're
No, that's not the reason why. He doesn't understand the lore. So it's like they're personifications of Nello Angelo's nightmares. I really don't feel like explaining it. If you're into the game, you know.
They're like spoopy, dude. Also, supposedly the dog shit RE engine couldn't handle spiders, hence why they were scrapped from Monster Hunter World and Resident Evil 2 remake. But anyways, all these summons have similar moves
I hate spiders. I'm glad.
that they did as bosses from 1. So in that aspect, it is kind of cool, but playing as a summoner character in a DMC game is just retarded. Griffin you control with square, which is basically his gun, and Shadow that you control with triangle, which would basically be like your melee or sword, and Nightmare is your devil trigger. The gameplay would be much better better if it didn't allow you to spam both Shadow and Griffin at once, but since you're able to do this, there's no reason not to, especially since V lacks any sort of damage output and primarily relies on Nightmare to do most of his damage, which I didn't even realize Nightmare was supposed to be Nightmare from DMC1.
Yeah.
Since he has a completely different form despite him, having the same exact name. He takes a standing up humanoid form, whereas in the original, he has like a blob.
It's a blob,
form
yeah.
that just laid on the floor. But yeah, you can also restore your devil trigger through reading poetry. Yeah, I'm not even joking. By holding R2, you'll read from your poetry book and restore
Poetry?
DT. So since you're a summoner though, you never actually have to be close to the enemies and can just allow your summons to damage the enemies.
Yeah,
while
V is
standing
kind of
20
boring.
feet away, free
But
from
like I
enemies.
said, he's choosing to play this way. He can just choose to have more fun with the character if you would participate, you know what I mean?
Sort of danger. So you basically only ever take damage due to literal boredom and falling asleep. Your summons, however, do have health, but on the lower difficulties, they will basically never die, and also when the enemies are near death, they become colorless and you need
The lower difficulty is easy. Shit game.
to press circle to finish the enemies off, which brings you close to the enemy. V is horrible to play, that's all you really need to know, and on the harder difficulties, especially Dante Must Die mode, you'll basically just be spamming the buttons till you legit have carpal tunnel, as every
Enemies have a lot of health in harder difficulties. Shit game.
enemy has 1,000,000 hit points, and your summons will die in 2 hits, so you constantly need to go
Enemies do a lot of damage in higher difficulties. Shit game.
up to your summons while they are down to refill their health until they revive, which is annoying because if both of your summons
Skill issue, just don't die.
are down, or even one of them is down, it's basically going to cut your damage output in half or completely negate any damage that you can do.
Like, why does he have so much fucking goddamn health, man?
Because you're playing on Dante Must Die. You don't have to play on that difficulty. You don't have to play on the difficulty. He's complaining that the enemies do too much damage and have too much health. Then don't play on the difficulty. Then play on an easier difficulty. You're doing this to yourself. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that.
Like, look at this. How is this fun? How does anybody defend this shit?
Play on an easier difficulty if you want him to die easier.
How do you defend this?
I just did.
Like, how do you fucking defend this dog shit?
He's so mad.
Oh my god, this is absolute dog shit. What
He's
the
not even
heck?
hitting it. He's not even hitting it. Did you see
There's
that?
another one? Are you fucking kidding me?
Then play on an easier difficulty.
Oh my god, what the fuck were they thinking?
What the fuck were they thinking?
Which, like I said, he already does next to 0 damage, so cutting it in half just makes the encounters go on for even longer than they should. He truly is
Then don't get it. You know you can draw your enemies away from the action if you like. For example, Shadow. If you double jump, you call Griffin to you, and if you dodge, you call Shadow to you. So you can use that to like bring them away from danger.
miserable to play, and I don't know how any mouth-drooling retard could ever defend playing this dogshit character, but somehow people
I'm not
can.
defending playing him, but I'm saying like you're making him way more unfun than he has to be by not using his moveset, like not trying to like play him. Like V is a character, since V is a bad character, you have to actually like try to have fun with him and try to like participate and immerse yourself in it. And also by playing on a higher difficulty than what you're enjoying. His 2 complaints about the enemies is that they do too much damage and take too many hits to die. So just play on an easier difficulty.
Him. I don't know how, but some people enjoy him apparently. I mean, one cool thing about V, I guess if I had to say one positive about him, is using his devil trigger, which summons Nightmare. He'll usually spawn in different locations depending
Yeah, that's pretty
on the
cool.
combat arena or the area. So for example,
funny.
sometimes there may be a wall you'll smash through if you use your devil trigger near it, which will usually have like a hidden area or secret mission. Kind of cool, but that's about where the positives end for V. So you eventually get a Nedhog, the first boss for V, and it basically acts similar to the boss from DMC3 when you're inside the giant Leviathan fish.
Oh, I
and you
forgot about
destroy
this.
the
He's
3
right. Yeah,
organs to
kinda like
expose
that.
the heart. This is similar to that where you need to defeat the 3 root heads to stun or get a shit ton of damage off on the main body. This is just a dog shit boss, and he's also quite poorly designed, especially if
I
you're
didn't really
fighting
like
as
this boss that
since
much,
the
but I don't really
lock-on
like V
system in
that
this
much, to
game
be
is
fair, so.
absolutely atrocious. But to be fair, the lock-on system in all the DMC games are quite bad. But I swear to God, this shit doesn't work half the time, where it just won't change targets, or it'll just randomly change targets.
I
or
never
the
had that
lock-
problem. them. You just click in the right stick and you switch.
onto an enemy nowhere fucking near you. It just straight up does not
I
work
never
out.
had that
But
problem.
yeah, unlike Heart of Leviathan from DMC3, where you need to either focus on one of his sides, either the left side or the right side, which the left would steal your orbs and the right would steal your devil triggers, so you need to be strategic in which side you want it to get rid of. Since you can use your DT to do more damage and also heal, but the enemies also drop, you know, green orbs, which is health, and they also drop red orbs, which is money. So if you don't get rid of the left one, you're not going to be able to restore your health, and you're losing out on red orbs. For Nidhogg, it's just defeat the heads. It's just boring and not fun, which again is the reoccurring theme with DMC.
Yeah, this wasn't the best boss in the
They're
game.
just boring, not fun, or just not good. Mission
Wasn't the
5, you're
best one in
forced
the
to
game.
play as this
Lady!
dog shit character again. Yes, twice in a row. Like, honestly, what the fuck were they thinking?
What were they thinking with this shitload of fuck?
What mouth drooler at Capcom thought this gameplay was acceptable? Fucking morons. Oh yeah, this mission also takes
just wanted to
place
try
in the
something
sewers
new.
and is
I get it.
also mostly just hallways.
But it's
'cause 5
not good.
missions in and 5 games in the series, we somehow forgot to do good level design. The boss for this mission might be better than the last one. I don't know. They are about the same. Neither are necessarily fun to fight though. It's
This
the
one-
first
this-
boss
yeah, the
from
second boss is
DMC3,
way
which
better.
is more nostalgia bait, and even has the same slowdown move, which several bosses in this game have for whatever reason. But yeah, it's not nearly as interesting as DMC3, as you can't jump on the cherry.
This boss is way more fun with the other characters. It's like, it's funny, you have to fight him as V, but this boss is way more fun as anyone but him.
Could in DMC3. Although, to be fair, it's not like the boss from 3 was great to begin with, but this is obviously worse somehow. Probably because you're playing as V. Fighting him as Virgil is actually decent, as you can
Yeah,
just spam his
it's-
trickster teleport to constantly be on him. But yeah, so far, out of like the 6 bosses we have fought so far, there's only been what, like I think a single good boss at this point, that being Goliath. So can somebody please tell me why this game gets glazed as hard as it does? Like nearly every boss from 3 is iconic. Every boss from 1 is well designed and fun to fight. Even DMC4 has cool and better bosses than 5, other than the last 2 final bosses, obviously. Those ones suck ass. But other than that, this just further reinforces my thoughts of this game just being inferior to 4. Not to mention 4, you don't have to play as this piece of shit character, so that alone makes it a better game. Mission 6 is one of the most
No,
forgettable
it's
missions
not.
in the
5 is
entire
better.
game, and you're
Sorry.
back to playing Nero.
Yeah,
I'm not even
so a lot of the
joking, that
bosses are
works.
this is a weak section of the game. It gets better later, but this yeah, the Gilgamesh is a pretty weak section of the game. I hated this boss as well.
Exaggerating. I completely forgot this boss and mission even existed until I replayed through the entire game just a few weeks ago. Like, this boss was completely removed and
I want to
erased.
skip to where he talks about Dante's moveset, because I feel like he's talking about bosses and about V, and it's just kind of stuff I heard a million times. Nostalgia bait. He's just gonna compare it to DMC3 and say 3 is better. Again, dude.
Angelo, which is
He's complaining
basically
about the
just
health?
Nilo Angelo, another nostalgia bait enemy. Hey, you guys remember Nilo Angelo from DMC1? I do, dude. Just keep adding shit from better games. Surely it'll make this one
Dude, you understand that this game takes place in the same world as the other games, so you're gonna see some of the same shit. Like,
better, surely. But this enemy is kind of shit, especially on the higher difficulties. Like, if you're fighting this motherfucker on Sons of Sparta, or God forbid Dante Must Die mode, you'll be hacking at this fucker for literal minutes. Like, you could legit beat a
dude, then turn the difficulty down, dude.
actual boss on any lower difficulty before you defeat
Oh my god, dude, the bosses, the enemies have so much health on higher difficulties. Look, they have way less health on lower difficulties. This game sucks, man. What are we talking about here, man? What are we talking about here? This is the worst mission in the game, he's right. This is the worst mission in the game. Yeah, I just want to hear what he has to say about Dante's moveset, and then I think I'm done with this.
for this game. So mission 10, halfway through the game, you can finally play as Dante, the character everybody wants to, actually play as, which Dante is much more complex and just has way more going for him than both V and Nero, as he has multiple different melee weapons and ranged weapons, on top of having 4 different styles to swap between, that being Trickster, Swordsmaster, Gunslinger, and Royal Guard. Trickster allows you to teleport around and is great at dodging and avoiding attacks, as well as being able to teleport quickly towards enemies far away. Swordsmaster gives all your melee weapons an additional button to use attacks with, so all of your styles are assigned to the circle button. So now instead of just having, triangle to do attacks with, you can now press circle to do additional attacks. And it naturally and obviously gives all your weapons much more moves. Most attacks in DMC are either delayed or directional while holding the lock-on button. So for example, if you press triangle and hold back when you do so, you can do high time, which will launch you and the enemy up into the air. Pressing forward and triangle does
Explain how it
stinger,
works,
which
okay.
will allow you to close in in on enemies further away. There's also attacks where you need to press back to forward, kind of like in a fighting game, just much easier to do. There's also delayed attacks.
Kinda.
For example, you press triangle, wait a half second, then press it again and again. Nero has more delayed attacks and aerial delayed attacks, which allow you to go further up into the air. But yeah, I'm not going to go super in detail with the combat system and all the different moves. It's good as most DMC games are. Moving on to his other styles, Gunslinger does the same thing Swordsmaster does, except the only difference is it does.
I'm gonna skip forward. He's kind of just explaining how everything works, and we already know.
Then
Oh, holy fuck.
guard, which with perfectly timed blocks or counters you can.
I got up.
I much prefer to just Rebellion, Sparta, and Devil Sword Dante, all being replaceable. Like, there really isn't any reason to use the other two once you unlock Devil Sword Dante, as it's mostly just a straight up upgrade in almost every aspect. The only difference is Sparta does a bit more damage with certain attacks and has Dante's old moveset, which I honestly much prefer and like better, while Devil Sword Dante has his Swordsmaster.
Yeah, Devil Sword Dante doesn't have like round trip and stuff like that.
Into his triangle attacks. It makes Dante feel more like Nero than Dante. You also get a new version of Cerebus, the three-sided nunchucks, this time each button possessing a different element. Triangle is the normal ice nunchucks, circle is the new fire bow staff, and holding either triangle or circle allows you to do different electrical attacks, which are pretty cool. One of Dante's brand new melee
Seems like he likes it for the most part.
weapons is Cavalier, which is basically a motorcycle that is quite slow but quite powerful. You can even ride it around the arena, which is pretty cool. It's a lot of fun.
It seems like he likes it
cool
mostly.
over-the-top weapon. And finally, you have Balrog, which is basically two weapons in one. It allows you to switch between using your feet golf as a staple. And then there's also the shotgun, which is and Kleena and 2, which are ladies.
He just kind of just talking about the weapons.
It's definitely firearm. I forgot. Red orbs to do powerfully compared to fighting. And you get to fight Chair Urizen for the third fuck. MC4 though.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're done with this. Yeah, it's my response to this. I had a few people ask me, and I got an email about it. But yeah, what is it, like almost 3 a.m. or something, dude? Alright, it's like 2:30. I think I should go to bed, dude. I'm fucking exhausted. Oh, man. Alright, well, thanks for watching. If you watched this far, I just wanted to react to this, give my thoughts. And, yeah.